All right, another week of trading down. We did really well. I just finished a coaching call with a member and I'm wanting to mark up my chart. So let's go ahead and do our weekend marking. So as you can see here, this is the Monday through Friday, nothing but really a slop and chop fest all week. And you had to know where you were at to trade this well. And that's one of the things we're really good at in our group. So let's throw on a profile for the week. And boy, we basically finished at the week's POC, right next to the value area high. So if you want to mark some additional levels here on your chart, maybe you can mark this out and say this is the weekly POC. Now, one of the things we discussed in our group that we are at this weekly POC, we are certainly not at an edge. So really wasn't a whole lot of things to trade here in my humble opinion. Then you can mark this as the weekly value area high. And the weekly value area low is down here. I probably need to move those levels. Weekly value area low. So certainly some good levels to keep in mind as the week goes on. Let's go ahead and move these over to somewhere in here. Accidentally deleted, marked two of them. Let's move this over here. And there we go. Weekly value area low. Okay. So we're going to take these three levels here. I'm going to put these in my single prints and VPOC folders. And I think that works well. All right, let's go ahead and get rid of that. Don't need these levels anymore. I'm going to turn on my session levels and see what do I need to get rid of? So the Sunday opening we tested during the week, so I can get rid of that. This RTH low, I wanted to just know where that was during trading on Friday, and I can get rid of that. Wednesday's POC, look at that. We came right back to Wednesday's POC. Very interesting. Don't need it. This half back, don't need it. Well, what I do need is to mark that for Friday. So Friday's halfback is here. Turn that back off. I need to mark out this London low. We also want to mark out this Sunday opening. That still hasn't been tested in an RTH session, I don't believe. Let's pull this. It's so interesting. That Sunday opening still has not been tested in an RTH session. It did it in the maintenance period, which was interesting. I don't think I need that. Let's go ahead and get rid of it. So tariff tweet low, that's what I called that. This is also going to be the weekly low. That was last week's weekly low. I should have been a little more thorough in marking that out. But this week's weekly low was here. So that 65.70 here, where I went long here and captured a 100-pointer and a 60-pointer. The 60-pointer was on accident, but that London low, we're going to mark that. And then this IB high up here is the weekly high. So let's go ahead and mark that out. Of course, on your essentials indicator, there will be purple dots denoting that. We've got this IB high. We've got this. Is this the IB low? Is that in the first? I think it is. Let's just double make sure. No, I'm wrong. But this is the RTH low. Let's go ahead and just go back to a 30-minute chart. So let's mark this out as an RTH low. There we go. RTH high. Make sure the magnet tool is turned on because I was a little off. Magnet tool on. RTH high. And we got the halfback, the high low. We got this low, this high, and this high. Those are the only levels there for this week that we want to carry forward. Plus, we marked out the value area highs and lows. Let me turn that back on and make sure there's nothing else I need to mark. Beginning of single prints, don't need that anymore. How However, I am going to keep that, but I'm going to change where that's anchored. Here we got the beginning of these A period single prints here. These single prints were filled with a nice little bounce. The beginning of these single prints had a nice little bounce there. So don't need that. Nothing to, all right. Beginning, and I'm going to rename this beginning of the A period single prints. Okay. Not tested RTH. And that's important. This movement here did not fill these single prints. It has to be done in an RTH session. So we want to carry that forward. We got the very high, low. There's no single prints here. There's a tiny little set here, this little tail. I'm not too worried about it. I only mark the tails when they seem to be pretty big. And of course, we have this set of single prints from Friday, if you want to make sure that's on your chart. 84.25. The value area high and low that we marked here, and then the beginning of a single prints there, where there was a little small set of single prints here. Look at that. Let's mark this as single prints, not RTH low, single prints. Yep. So, you know, in today's Zoom coaching with a member, we talked about single prints, and I said, you know, one of the easiest way to identify single prints is it's a 30-minute fair value gap that no other candle touched. So this is the single prints here. You can draw this all the way through the whole day, the whole RTH session. Only one candle goes through it. That's the set of single prints. If you need more training on that, there's several videos here on my YouTube channel about identifying single prints. So we're not going to do a deep dive on that here. All right. So that's the single prints and all of that. I need to put this in my single prints folder. Cool. All right. So let's zoom out a little bit more. Is there a trend line that we might want to throw on our chart? I wonder if we want this one on our chart. Do we want to be mindful of that? And I'm going to take this through the body. I'm going to take that right there through the body. Cool. And then the swing out point would be going off the wick, but I want to put it here at the body right now. I think that's worthy of having on our chart. Also, the next thing that's worthy of having on the chart, let me do one more thing here. Let's turn on, my trend line folder. It's been a while since I've actually looked at that. Okay, we no longer need this. No longer need that. Let's go and look at this on a daily, because that's a daily trend line. Okay, that's when we were sneaking up through there. We broke it and we have back tested it. We've also bounced off a front side. Very, very interesting where we're at right now. It would not be surprising to see if we actually started a down move back down into this area here. So front side and a fair value gap bounced, hard closed this trend line, back tested this trend line. It's really, really interesting where we're at right now. I am certainly not in the prediction business, but I will say that I think I'm going to keep this trend line on here. It's anchored. Let me just make sure I'm perfectly anchored to this wick and to this wick. Boom, boom, boom. I think I'm going to keep that on there. Let's go back to a 30-minute chart here. So the back test of this trend line happens to also line up with the range we were playing with last week that we lost on Friday. And I want to make sure that you have this range on your chart. So let's give you back this range again. From 58.75 to 89.50 is this range. We lost that range. We tried to come back to it and failed. had a very strong overnight session, failed to even touch it, did a bigger pullback, not a shock. When the bulls can't reach something, they'll take some liquidity, charge back at it. And we are in the middle here of a really good charge up. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens if we can get back up into here. I'll worry about that tomorrow when I'm working on the strong levels and the battle plan that'll be posted Sunday afternoon. But I'm going to keep this trend line on the chart because I would just want to watch it when we come back at it. It's not a tradable thing, but it allows me to know exactly where I'm at when price actually gets there. All right, guys, that's this week's markings. I will see you Sunday for the battle plan and the new strong levels.